as it is written, eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. But God hath revealed them unto us by his Spirit.
Psalms chapter 17, verse 15. As for me, I will behold thy face in righteousness. I shall be satisfied when I awake with thy likeness. Shalom Yasharala, peace Israel. Call Halayimlah, Alahayinawa, Abanawa, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham Rakapadash. All praise to our power, our Father, Yahweh, in the name Yahushai, in the name Holy Spirit. Double honor to elder apostles and elder bishops, great millstone. Peace and blessing to you hopeful elect out there. You brothers teaching this word in truth and in sincerity, okay? Yahweh Shai will make you elect like him. Yahweh Shai will make you hopeful elect out there just like him. He's going to make you just like him, and he's going to give you everything in due season. Okay? I'm going to read the scripture again, and then I'll get another. Just going to read two scriptures in the Psalms. Psalms chapter 17 and verse 15 again. As for me, and this is a Psalm of David, and we know King David was an Israelite. Or should I say he is an Israelite, okay? So this verse right here is only for the Israelites, beginning with the elect. Those are part of the house of David. It's King David himself, he wrote this. Psalm 17 and 15. As for me, I will behold thy face in righteousness, meaning you will behold this truth, okay? This truth is the Lord's face, his image. You're looking at his face in righteousness by you understanding his truth. Okay? He opened up your mind to receive this word. You understand and believe in the true proper name of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh. You understand and believe in the true proper name of his beloved Son, Yahushai. You know that we're the Israelites, so-called blacks, Latinos, Hispanics, and Native. So you're beholding his face in righteousness, meaning you're understanding these scriptures. I shall be satisfied when I awake with thy likeness, meaning when you're changed. When Yahushai returns to this earth, he's gonna quicken you. He's gonna give you life. When you receive that new body, it's like you're waking up for the first time. Totally refreshed, totally renewed, totally rejuvenated. A whole new world, a whole new life. That's how it's going to be when you receive that immortal body. You will be satisfied when you awake with his likeness, meaning you're going to be changed and you're going to be just like him. Because he is the perfect model. He is the archetype. So for you hopeful elect out there, you're being made into different versions of Yahushai. When he returns to this planet Earth, he's going to make you just like him. First, he gave you this truth. You have his truth by way of his death and resurrection, because Yahushai had to die for us to receive this truth, this word. So you're beholding his face by you looking at this word. So you see Yahushai all the time. You see Yahushai by way of this word because he is the word. He comes in the volume of the book. And the more you get into this book, the more you're becoming like his image spiritually. And when he returns to this earth, physically, you're going to be like him. Physically, you're going to be changed. And you're going to receive that new covenant. The laws, statutes, and commandments will be in your mind. You're going to be programmed to do righteousness. Okay? You will have the laws, statutes, and commandments downloaded within your brain. You're satisfied when you awake with his likeness, meaning when he returns, he's going to beam you up, deliver you, and you're going to be just like him. And he's going to give you everything. He will give you everything, man, because he himself received everything. Now this is Psalms chapter 16, beginning in verse 9. Therefore my heart is glad. And this is Yahweh Shai speaking in the spirit. Now these are Psalms written by our beloved King David. But a lot of these Psalms, you hear Yahweh Shai.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word and truth, and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh, Bahashem, Shah, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashim Shah. All right, so got a few things to go into, this morning. All right, this morning, news and prophecy. All right, dealing with U.S. troop deployments, false flags, and more, and things are happening, just as prophecy said they would. All right, and this is our power. All right, showing that He is. Okay, so we're seeing the mind of the Lord play out in the planet Earth. The beloved brother, Priest Yomiyad, he spoke on that yesterday. We did a lesson, by the lake, and he was saying how the mind of the Lord, all right, is playing out, okay, real time in the planet Earth. Okay, and the Lord has given the prophets the understanding of his will and his agenda through prophecy, man. Okay, so we're seeing prophecy really take hold in the planet Earth. All right, and what I want to start off with, I got a few videos to get into, but I want to start off here first in the book of Jeremiah. Okay, so let's go here. All right, because it all leads to the complete and utter destruction of America. All right, the downfall of the kingdom of Edom. All right, the Lord is going to disrupt, okay, and obliterate ambition, okay, and all these heathens that have partook in trying to establish this new world order with Esau, okay, they're going into captivity. You see? So this is how this thing is. All right, and Esau, the Lord, all right, has pulled Esau into this war that's going to end his empire. Okay, Esau has embarked on a war that will end his empire, man. Thus said the Lord. Okay, and there's a lot being prepared as we see these things develop. Now, when you go to Jeremiah 50 and 29, it said, call together the archers against Babylon. Okay, and this war is going to call together all the archers, and the archers are everyone with nuclear capability. Every nation outside of America with nuclear capability are being called to this war. All right, they're going to eventually be drawn into this war. All right, as we await other prophecies to take place, the MOTB, the civil unrest, okay, Jacob's trouble, all right, the famines, etc. As we wait on these things to take place, okay, these archers are being called together, because you best believe these nations are preparing themselves, man. Okay, because these nations can't afford to sit back, literally, man. Okay, because what the Lord did by allowing the Strait of Hormuz to be closed, He put pressure on all these nations, man, to either fight or die. Okay, that's what's been put on these nations' plate, nigga. You gonna fight or die? Okay, by choking out these nations' energy, man. You see, it says, all ye that bend the bow, camp against it round about, let none thereof escape. Okay, so no one in America will survive, okay, this coming war outside of the elect. Only the elect in America are going to survive this war, because America is going to be completely, all right, annihilated with everyone in it, okay, except for the elect, which are going to be in those chariots, man. watching the lake of fire, which is America on fire, man. Okay. It says, recompense her according to her work, according to all that she have done, do unto her. For she have been proud against the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Shai, against the Holy One of Israel. Yeah, she's been proud. Okay. America has been the center of pride in the earth, man. Okay. And America has been the biggest problem in the earth. You see, people act like America innocent and they just were thrown into a war. No, America's been proud. Okay, America's been wicked in their own right. Okay, the small has run America. Okay, as we see, but America has their own, all right, rap sheet, man. All right, that they've been building up for a long time without being judged. So this is their judgment. This is righteous judgment that's coming to America, man, and you people in it. Because you people would be cheerleading just like you do all these other wars if America was winning. But now, okay, that America's on the back foot, America doesn't look that strong. Now, everybody want to be, all right, everybody got morals now. Everybody got integrity. Nah, man. Okay, this has been a nation of people that's been proud against the Lord, man. Okay, and this is just the beginning. Okay, this is just the beginning. You Americans ain't felt nothing yet, man. It's only going to get worse. Okay, it's gonna be extreme poverty, extreme violence, and then the nukes, man. Okay, it said, therefore shall her young men fall in the streets, and all her men of war shall be cut off in that day, said the Lord. Okay, all her men of war shall be cut off in that day. Okay, so the American military is set up for failure, man. Okay, the American military has been proud. You know, and this is why they think they don't have to prepare for war, because they think they're just gonna come and dominate with pure might. You know, just overwhelm everyone that they face, man. Okay, and they went into this war ill prepared. You know, thinking it was gonna be a cakewalk. You know, they was high off that Venezuela, you know, little ordeal, which they were pumped up, they were hyped up. Okay, because those sellers, Abraham, the Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier and their strike group, they were supposed to come home after Venezuela. Okay, because they had been out there already for, you know, almost half a year, 8 months. So they were supposed to come home and port and dock in Virginia, you know, and come home. You see? But after, you know, Venezuela went like it went, they sent them directly to Iran. So they were riding it high from Venezuela. You know? You saw America sent them right to Iran from Venezuela, man. You see, and showing you that the Lord set them up for failure, man. Okay, Esau took the bait, he took the trap. Okay, and the Lord hyped that nigga up to go with this move. You see, verse 31 said, "Behold, I am against thee, O thou most proud, said the Lord, power of hosts. For thy day is come, the time that I will visit thee," man. So the Lord is getting ready to visit the earth with great judgment, man. And he's going to visit America, all right, with tribulation, okay? And then it's going to be nuclear destruction, all right? Because in the midst of the tribulation, he's going to make the MOTB mandatory, okay? And people that get that, all right, they're just guaranteed to get caught up in the nukes, man. Okay? Taking the sea hip is a guaranteed nuke. Okay? If you survive to that point. All right, because the Lord so cold, man. He's gonna have people taking the sea hip, you know, to get access to food and still starve, man. The Lord gonna show that He is in the earth, man. Okay, that's the time that we're coming into, man. The Lord is finna show that He is, man. Okay, so reading on, it says, and the most proud shall stumble and fall, and none shall raise him up. Okay, and the most proud, which is America, man. Led by who? Esau, Edom. You Edomites finna fall. America's finna fall. Okay, your new world order ambition is finna fall. Okay, and I will kindle a fire in his cities, and it shall devour all round about him, man. And that's those nukes. Okay, all those nuclear warheads hitting America, man. Okay, and melting these cities, man. Literally melting all these cities, man. Melting all the elements, man. Okay, and you reading on, Verse 33 said, "Thus said the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah will oppress together the northern and southern kingdom." Okay. And all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. And Esau's new world order, that's him refusing, all right, to let the Lord's people go. That's Esau being hardened. Esau is hardened just like Pharaoh. You know, no matter how much damage the devil is taking, man, he just refused to let up with this new world order agenda. Okay. And he wants to put his C-hip in everyone. And he wants to keep the Lord's people as his possession forever, man, as his captives forever. Okay. But what these devils, all right, don't have in mind, it says their redeemer is strong. Okay. And Esau, he's so puffed up and so delusional that he thinks that he can match the might of the Most High. He thinks he's going to match the might of Yahushua at his return, man. Okay. He said the Lord of hosts is his name. He shall thoroughly plead their cause. See, this is the Lord pleading the cause for his remnant, his elect, man. The Lord is beginning to plead his cause, man. Okay. And he's doing it through judgment, because plead goes into judgment. All right. Matter of fact, let's get that word plead real quick. Okay. Let's get this word plead. All right. Let's go here. He should thoroughly plead. Let me see. I don't think that's it. The plead should be. It look like he don't got it. Yeah, because that word plead should be shapat. All right, which goes into judgment. Okay. But this is not the word that's in it should be the same word that's in shapat. But when you go into this word, the Hebrew, okay, which is thoroughly, all right, which is rayab, okay, it says to strive, to contend. It said physically, okay, physically, man. So what we're seeing now is the Lord, all right, contending with this devil, okay, physically. Now he's physically getting at Esau, okay, in this war, okay, because these nations are just tools being used by the Most High, okay. It says to plead, to strive. Hey, so the Lord is beginning to strive against the devil physically, man. Okay. And he's still striving against Esau spiritually through the prophets. And now, all right, we're going into the physical arena. Okay. Well, the Lord got these nations getting at each other, man. And these nations finna get at Babylon. Okay. And then Yahushua is going to come and get busy with all these nations, man. All right. All right. So the Lord is up in the ante, man. All right. And he's beginning to reach out and touch Esau more and more. Okay. Directly, man. You know, and it's going to continue to increase, man, because everybody talk about, you know, Iran is a proxy for Russia and China. Well, everybody's a proxy to the Most High. Russia and China are proxies of the Most High. Okay. Until he send his son. Okay. All these nations are proxies for the Most High to do his bidding. Okay. And then he's going to send his direct force, which is Yahushua and the angels, man. Okay. So let's go back. Okay. So the Heavenly Father is beginning to plead, okay, or contend and strive with the devil, man. Okay, said that he may give rest to the land and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon. See, it's not going to be good, all right, for you Americans, man. There's no good news for you Americans, man. And see, the Lord is saving the best for last, all right, because these other nations are being affected immediately because they don't have the privilege of, you know, having, the oil reserves and oil production, plus having the dollar. Okay. So America, has all this cushion from, these global economic crises, but see, it's going to hit, because this thing is going to be drawn out and eventually it's going to hit. Okay. It's going to hit America hard. Okay. So it says a sword is upon the Chaldeans said the Lord Yahweh Bashim Al Shah. Yeah, so this war is going to work against the elites. You see, the elites are used to causing wars, all right, and it works in their favor at the end of the war. Well, but this war is not going to work in his favor. Okay, he's going to be able to, enrich himself. There's people getting rich, all right. These, super rich, oil companies, okay, certain investors, people are able to get rich, but that's not going to mean the goddamn thing. Okay, you're going to be judged by the Lord, so getting rich is a non-factor. Okay, he's going to be able to, collapse the global economy. Okay, bring in, this MOTB, make it mandatory, but then he's going to lose. Okay, so this war is going to work against him because this war is not going to stop when they want it to stop. It's going to keep going. Okay, all the way into Yahushua. All right, and they talking about, well, they didn't account, like they speak now, like, oh, damn, they didn't account for how Iran could possibly retaliate. They didn't, account for that. Well, what they're really not account for is Yahushua entering the war. Okay, that's what they really not accounting for. They can't be accounted for, man. Okay, all the power Yahushua finna come with, man. Okay, it says the sword is upon the Chaldeans, said the Lord, and upon the inhabitants of Babylon, and upon her princes, and upon her wise men. A sword is upon the liars, and they shall dote. A sword is upon her mighty men, and they shall be dismayed, man. All right, the military, man. Okay, so this war is going to work against all the interests of the elite, the Americans, okay, you American people, all right, the leaders of America, okay, the militaries of America, okay. A sword is upon their horses, upon their chariots, upon the mingled people that are in the midst of her. America known as what? Their melting pot, okay, because it's going to destroy all the elements in America. Everything in America going to be melted, man, and they shall become as women. Okay, a sword is upon her treasures, her economy, and they shall be robbed. Okay, so extreme poverty is coming to America, man. Okay, extreme violence, man, topped off with nuclear destruction, man. Okay, this is where we at. All right, this is where the Lord is getting ready to bring it to, man. So let's go. Let's go here. Let's go to this first video. Because now you have what? So the troops being deployed. Well, that's prophecy, man. Okay. If a brother can get that, Joel, all right, 2:20. All right. When a brother can get that, how the women shall cry, having no husband, how they should die in the war, second Esdras, I believe 16. Okay, brother can get that. Well, let's go here. All right. Well, first, before we go there, let's go here. Because we said that the devil and the brother can get that, we always get it. 2 Corinthians 2:11 in the NLT. All right, but we said they was setting up for some type of false flag, man, and they're just getting closer and closer. They're itching closer and closer to that false flag. Now you had this Texas refinery blast shocks U.S. Iran sabotage fears online. So now, okay, they're hinting that Iran is attacking oil refineries in America somehow, some way. Okay, now this is what they're hitting at. And see, with this, because Trump, he didn't attack the power grid that he said he was going to attack. Okay, but he did attack a power grid in Iran. Okay, so he didn't all the way tackle out, but he did this, and when he did this, all of a sudden, oil refineries in Texas, an oil refinery in Texas, okay, there was a mysterious explosion. Okay, so this devil, he's setting the stage for a major, all right, false flag, man. It's gonna be something major, man. okay? Because he needs something major to really, all right, move the needle in America, man. Okay, he needs to get America caught up with this new world order agenda, man. Okay, he needs to make some quick changes, okay, to the American society, man. He needs to strip away privileges, freedom of speech, freedom of movement. You know, he got the ICE, you going into the airports now. Okay, he needs people in major fear. Okay, so he can begin to incorporate new world order. Okay, agendas, man. You see, so let's play this real quick.
A massive explosion at a major U.S. oil refinery in Texas has triggered panic, dramatic visuals, and a wave of global speculation, including claims of an Iranian attack. But what really caused this blast? This Port Arthur refinery, one of the largest in the United States. A powerful explosion, followed by a massive fire, lit up the skyline. Flames shot high into the air, and thick, jet-black smoke billowed for miles, visible across the Gulf Coast. Eyewitness visuals show towering fireballs, refinery structures silhouetted against an orange glow, and dense smoke clouds turning the sky hazy. The blast was so strong, it shook nearby homes, rattled windows, and was felt miles away. Authorities quickly responded. A shelter-in-place order was issued as air quality monitoring began due to heavy smoke. The big question, what caused it? Officials have confirmed this was an industrial accident, specifically a malfunction or explosion inside an industrial heater unit. No injuries, no casualties reported. But even before official confirmation, social media had already exploded with theories. Claims began circulating that Iran's Revolutionary Guard had targeted the facility through drones, missiles, or sabotage. Some posts even claimed Iran had taken credit. But here's the reality. There is zero evidence of any external attack. No missile trails, no drone footage, no impact signs. CCTV footage tells a very different story. A sudden internal blast, a loud boom, followed instantly by a fireball erupting from within the facility. No incoming strike, just a localized industrial explosion. Experts say this is consistent with refinery accidents, where pressure buildup or equipment failure ignites flammable vapors. In short, a dangerous but not uncommon industrial failure.
Yeah, man. So we're just watching to see how they're going to start spending these things, man. But we know, all right, first you had the FBI, give a warning, to California, LA, about a potential drone strike from Iran. All right. Then you had these mysterious drones, you know, in the airspace of these military bases in Louisiana, the military bases where, Pete Hegseth and, Mark Rubio were at, and then you have, this incident here. Okay. So they're setting up for something. All right. And they're being called out. Okay. Because there's a lot of people anticipating some type of false flag. Okay. So this devil, okay, he's been, called out at every turn. Okay. But he's going to have to go with something, and I believe it's going to be something major. It's hard to see us going through 2026 without this man, all right, doing some type of major, okay, event, okay, that shifts everything, okay, in America, man. And this is me speaking as a man, but it'd be hard with all this momentum that he got now, his window, because he ain't got too many. He's not Time is not on his side. Okay. The Lord is pushing this man to go with his moves, man. Okay. So you go from there, and then you have you go from there, and let's go here. Dealing with all right, so you have this here. All right.
Chief National Correspondent Jennifer Griffin joins me now, reporting from Washington. Hi, Jen.
Hi, Martha. Fox News has learned the commander of Airborne Division and his headquarters staff have been ordered to deploy to the Middle East, an indication that more ground troops could follow. Thousands of U.S. reinforcements are set to cross into CENTCOM's area of operations in the Indian Ocean as soon as Friday, when one of 2 Marine Expeditionary Units arrive on board the USS Tripoli and its amphibious ready group. But of those 22 port and logistics, for comparison, when the U.S. Marines stormed the beaches of Iwo Jima during World War II, it took 70,000 Marines and resulted in nearly 7,000 Americans killed and 20,000 wounded. Iwo Jima was 8 square miles. Karg Island is 12 square miles. There is also the issue of getting the 31st MEU, or Marine Expeditionary Unit, through the Strait of Hormuz, which remains in control of the IRGC and too dangerous to pass. President Trump indicated that he is willing to negotiate. The U.S. has struck over 9,000 targets in Iran, conducted 9,000 combat flights, and destroyed or damaged more than 140 Iranian vessels. Yesterday, the USS Gerald R. Ford, one of just 2 aircraft carrier strike groups that the U.S. has deployed to the Middle East, pulled into Suda Bay, Crete for repairs after a fire ripped through the laundry and sleeping quarters. 200 sailors were treated for smoke-related injuries. The Ford has been at sea since June, taking part in the Venezuela operation. The extended deployment, Martha, of the USS Ford with its 5,000 sailors and 75 warplanes could take it out of commission for over a year. Martha.
Jennifer, thank you.
And that's the thing, that Gerald S. Ford is America's biggest, aircraft carrier. Okay, and it's off the board. It's off the battlefield. Okay, Abraham Lincoln. All right, aircraft carriers, Wade. Okay, down there by India. Okay, so it's pretty much not effective in this war. You see, so now is the thing of sending in troops. Okay, and just as the scriptures say, that this will happen. All right, so now let's get this real quick. If this is what the brother got, let's go here first. Okay, so these doubles. And let's say Esau got a lot on his plate, man. He got to deal with America domestically. Okay, get these Americans, on board. So he got all these, false flag narratives, and he's got the stage set for that. But you go 2 Corinthians 2:11, at least Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices, man. And we know how this devil get down, man. We can see what this nigga is setting up for a mile away. All right, and don't be surprised, with those false flags that he starts to try to link that to brothers, man. Okay, that the people, these sleeper cells and false flag events, that he begins to link these things, all right, to ministry, to the brothers, because that persecution has to come. Us being hated by all men for his name's sake, okay, that persecution has to come. So that's gonna be thrown in the mix as well. Okay, and then you got troops being deployed, which this is all prophecy, man. You see, we don't have to speculate whether troops are going to be deployed or not. No, the Lord said they would. Okay, and I'm gonna get it here. I know it's not letting brothers post it. I see brothers trying to post it, but sometimes do that. All right, but I'll just read it real quick. So this is the book of Joel, chapter 2. Okay, let's go here. All right, this is the book of Joel. All right, matter of fact, I started at 1, 2, then jump Joel 2:1, it said, blow ye the trumpet in Zion and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Shah cometh, for it is nigh at hand. So the day of the Lord is at hand. Okay, and then he has the prophets blowing the trumpet, blowing an alarm. This is an alarm of war. This is an alarm of the second coming of Yahweh Shah, which he's coming to wage war and righteousness, man. You see? And this grace period was for us to get on one accord with our power. Okay, to become pleasing to our power, man. Okay, in the hope of a deliverance in this time, man. You see? When the Lord finna make the earth tremble, man. Okay, with tribulation and with war and with judgment. Okay, and then it is nigh at hand. Okay, things are escalating, man. You see, only escalation is going. Okay, because by this time, wars usually kind of plateau out. And they just go back and forth. Okay, but this thing just been constantly escalating, man. All right, Joel 2:20 said, "But I will remove far off from you the northern army, which is the American army, just as the scriptures say, we will be delivered from, the land of the north." Okay, speaks about that second exodus from the land of the north. Okay, so the Lord is removing far from you who, the elect. Okay, so the military is being dispatched. Okay, from Babylon. All right, and it says, "And will drive him into a land barren and desolate, with his face toward the east sea, and his hinder part, all right, toward the utmost sea." Okay, so the east sea is the Persian Gulf. Okay, so his face is going to be toward the Persian Gulf. All right, and his land is barren and desolate in Saudi Arabia. Okay, so they're going to be deployed, a lot of them in the area of Saudi Arabia. Okay, and they're going to be faced towards the East Sea. All right, which the sea that's east to Saudi Arabia is the Persian Gulf, and across the Persian Gulf is Iran. Okay, so their face is going to be set against Iran. Okay, for an attempted ground invasion, man. Okay, it says in his hinder part toward the utmost sea, the Red Sea, which is going to be behind them, and his stink shall come up. Yeah, they're going to be, all right, obliterated over there, man. Okay, and it shall, and his ill savor shall come up, because he have done great things. Yeah, wickedness, man. Esau, Edom. Okay, so his military agenda is not going to be achieved. Okay, his new world order agenda is going to be cut short. All right, this nigga finna lose. Okay, yeah, Esau's finna lose, man. And the American military finna lose. They're going up there to be slaughtered. They're being deployed to be slaughtered, man. Okay, talking about taking a boat, okay, through the Persian Gulf, through the Strait of Hormuz. That's not gonna happen, man. Okay, and I believe that Esau is doing this to try to create a rally around the flag moment by allowing these troops to get slaughtered and riling up Americans to volunteer for this war, man. Okay, because that's not that little boat, the Marine Navy vessel going through the Persian Gulf, man, that's gonna be slaughtered. Okay, any ground invasion is gonna be met with slaughter. Okay, and let's say by a miracle they make it in Iran, slaughter. Okay, it's nothing but slaughter at every level. Okay, and we know the elites want to depopulate. And I'm thinking, that's me speaking as a man, that they want to sacrifice these soldiers, this first wave, to get people to riled up, Americans riled up to volunteer for this war. Okay, because militarily, all right, this is just going to be a slaughter. Okay, and then they constantly letting, everyone know every movement. They letting the troops know, the whole earth know the movement of these troops, man. Okay. Yep. So let's go here. Cue up this video next. Oh yeah, the apostle Tahar had in. Apostle Hart did this quick video. Let's play this. All right. It said effective April 20th, 2026, the U.S. Army is increasing the maximum enlistment age from 34 to 42, eliminating waiver requirements for a single conviction of possession of marijuana. I wonder why. Okay, so you know they want you Jakes, okay, piled in there, man. Okay, so let's play this a little bit.
Giving all praise to Yahweh, Bashem Yashar, Bashem Kakodash, Shalom to 144,000 rest of the elect out there, Shalom to you all. Okay, I was watching Sabby Sab's show, which I subscribe to, and it says currently live. And this is somebody put this post up, and here it goes, put up by R.B. Ham. It says effective April 20th, 2026, the U.S. Army is increasing the maximum enlistment age. Now, you know it's going to be draft too. So you can, voluntarily enlist. But if people are not enlisted enough, it will go to the draft. The draft will go from 18 to 42. I believe the draft was from 18 to 26, and then I believe it goes to 36 or something like that. But they're saying from 8, so we're talking about from ultimately the draft would most likely be, if the enlistment age is put up to 42, the draft would be any boy, man, from 18 to 42 can be drafted, going from 18 to 26. So that's a big jump right there. And eliminating waiver requirements for a single conviction of possession of marijuana. I wonder why. Yeah, because at one time, if you have a conviction for possession of marijuana, you can't go now. They're going to, and they'll probably get, prison guys with, conviction, federal felony convictions. They want to build this army up. People are not, Americans are not joining the army fast enough for them. So they're going to have a draft. They want to encourage you to join the military. So you can go over there and die and be pursuant to, you know what I'm going to say? Joel 2, verse 20. You can be a permanent fixture of the south of the Levant. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, so you got that in effect. All right, which brings this scripture the brother got. Okay, let's go here. You see, and all this is happening quick. These things are happening quick. Okay. Congress got something where by default, everyone from the age of 18 to 26, okay, is enlisted in the is being enlisted in the military, man. Okay, by default, man. So this thing is moving quick. All right. Third before the war's a month in, man. Okay. 2nd Ezra 16:33 says, the virgins shall mourn having no bridegrooms, the women shall mourn having no husbands, their daughters shall mourn having no helpers. Okay. Why is that, man? Okay, because they're gonna die in the wars. Okay, if a brother can post verse 34 and 35 as well. Okay, because it's gonna tell you that they're gonna die in these wars, man. Okay, and you people that have been rocking with America, cheerleading for America, well, guess what? There's a brother GMS Taza Doc. All right, Yara 144K. It's Sirach 8:15. It says, travel not by the way with a bold fellow, lest he become grievous unto thee. Okay, and all these nations that were allied with America, now America is grievous to these nations that were allies, man. Okay, these Gulf Arab states, all right, these GCC nations now being see, it was a time when they being with this bold fellow was a benefit. Okay, you had that protection, you was making the money. Okay, now being with this bold fellow is detrimental. So whether you're just a simple nigga in the military, or you one of these countries that allow Esau to set up shop in your country now, all right, it's grievous unto you, man. Okay, it said, for he will do according to his own will, and thou shalt perish with him, all right, through his folly. Okay, so that the Edomite empire is a sinking ship, man. A lot of people finna sink with it. Okay, this bold fellow, he's bold militarily. He's even bold to go against the Lord. You take the sea hip, there's you going away with a bold fellow. Okay, because this is bold for this nigga to try to establish a new world order where he replaces the Most High with technology, man. Okay, this is bold. You see? All right, so let's go. Let's see there, brother. Yep, verse 34. Wars of Yahweh, 2nd Ezra 16:34. In the wars shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine. Yeah, and that's just the population of men finna increase and be finna decrease drastically in the world, especially here in America, man. All right, because civil unrest is going to take away a lot of men. Okay, and then this war is going to take away a lot of men. Okay, famine, starving to death. Okay, so in the wars shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine. All right, verse 35, it says, hear now these things and understand them, ye servants of the Lord, man, which is the elect. Okay, so it's on us to understand these things. So when we see these things happening, we know that he is, man. Okay, so let's go from there. All right, I got another video I want to get into. Let's go here. Let's go here.
Today, we learned that the Trump administration is deploying 3,000 more ground troops to the Middle East. Cenk, I know you're coming in hot from the first hour, so what is your 2 cents on this before we get into the story?
Yeah, so we should not be putting any ground troops in. I'm going to keep asking the question until one other human being asks in American media, why isn't it Israeli ground troops? They're the ones who wanted the war, but they're now ordering our ground troops in to die on behalf of Israel. So wait till you find out the rest of the story.
Because small heads look at you American like going, okay, cannon fodder, okay. Here it is, a small head started the war, but they sending your ground troops in, okay? You made a point. Why isn't the IDF ground troops, okay, being deployed, okay? Why are ground troops way from America being deployed? Well, one thing is prophecy, okay? And the small heads look at you Americans as just cannon fodder, okay? And they'll risk every American to try to pull this off, man, this Greater Israel project. The small hats will risk every single American, okay, that's able, all right, to physically walk in the battle, okay, to try to pull off this Greater Israel project, man. They look at you as goyim, as cattle, as sacrifice anyway, okay?
And how disastrously this is going to turn out.
Yeah, so right as of now, there is no formal order to put those troops on the ground in Iran, but now Trump has the option to do so if he wants to. And that means that in the past 2 days alone, Trump has both opened the door to negotiations with Iran and surged even more troops into the Middle East. So over 4,000 Marines have already been deployed. Meanwhile, a former Trump administration official is stating that Trump has no good options for ending this war, which is very, very comforting for the rest of us. General Jim Mattis, of all people, served as Trump's defense secretary from 2017 to 19. If you'll recall, yesterday, Mattis had this to say. He said, in Iran right now, if we declared victory, we would now say they own the strait. You'd see attacks for every ship that goes through. And that's been corroborated by reporting from the Wall Street Journal. Allegedly, Arab leaders told the Iranian Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps that the Strait of Hormuz should be governed by a neutral committee. So the IRGC replied that Iran should collect fees from transiting ships, just as Egypt does now with the Suez Canal. And there is more from Mattis. He had a lot to say, and he said it quite plainly. He said, "We are in a tough spot, ladies and gentlemen. I can't identify a lot of options. Neither side has the ability right now to move the other side off of where they're at. Never in history has air power alone changed a regime."
And the Lord got it to where they just got to keep going to war. Okay? The Lord got it set up. There ain't no good options for America, man. Okay? We walked into a trap. Okay? Jeremiah 51:24. Okay, you devils, they walked into the trap. Ain't no good options, man. Ain't no good options from here on out. All the good options are gone. Okay? Every option that this devil has is just the end of his kingdom. Okay? Real quick, Revelation 13:10. Brother posted. And brother posted Jeremiah 51:24. Okay? I'm gonna play this some more. My brothers get it.
Great. So Mattis isn't the only one who's nervous about the war. Yesterday, the Chevron CEO, Mike Wirth, had this to say. He said there are real physical manifestations from the closure of the Strait of Hormuz that are working their way around the world and through the system that I don't think are fully priced into the futures curve on oil. So what does that mean? What he's saying is that Wirth believes that right now oil is actually underpriced, and the price increases we've already seen aren't as bad as they really should have been by now. Meanwhile, the Trump administration is shutting down renewable energy projects as if that is going to help make anything better for the average American consumer. So on Monday, Doug Burgum's Interior Department announced it will pay a French energy company, Total Energies, nearly $1 billion to stop plans to build 2 wind farms off the coast of New York and North Carolina. Instead, Total Energies will take the money it had paid during the Biden administration from federal offshore land leases and reinvest some of it into a liquefied natural gas plant in Texas. Total Energy.
Everybody's scrambling. Okay? The Lord done shook shit up. Everybody's scrambling, man. Okay? And the elites in the back, looking to profit off everything. And, and they're thinking that this war is going to establish their new world order. Nah, man. Okay? They're going to get caught in the mix too. Okay? And they're going to get caught up in this mix too, man.
CEO described the agreement to forfeit its leases for US offshore wind farms as innovative. Sure, going backwards is the same thing as like innovating for the future. So we'll end with a piece of writing from a Chinese think tank, actually, that was republished by one of DropSite News reporters. And here's what it says. It says a protracted Middle East war would be a period of strategic opportunity for China, one that drains US resources while pushing global capital, industry, and trade routes towards China as the next best option.
So with this happening, these nations are looking like shit. Because you best believe these nations want, all right, the position that America has had for these last 80 years, post World War II. All right, you best believe that Russia, China, that these nations want their position. Okay, and they're looking at this as an opportunity because they didn't expect Iran to come out like this. Okay, and this opens up different opportunities for nations now. Okay, they see America being dismantled. Okay, and they're like, well, shit. They looking, so these nations, they're finna fight over this war, man. I mean, they're finna fight over this new world order. Okay, because these nations want their position in this new world order that America had in their old world order, man. These nations are ambitious, man. Esau, these elites that's behind these certain nations, they're ambitious, man. Okay? These devils ain't gonna stick to the things that they've agreed to, whatever they got going. And no, they're gonna fight over this, man. Okay? the devil always, Esau always fights over who's going to run, okay, the system, man. They come together and make a system, but then they fight who's going to run it. Okay, so we're at the point where they're going to fight over who's going to run it. Okay, so these nations, they trying to like, shit, nigga, we can feel that slot, you know, because they're looking at America like they finished, nigga. We can feel that spot, you know. Let's play a little more.
Turmoil at sea leaves U.S. allies dependent on seaborne energy vulnerable, expanding demand for alternative land routes, and accelerating China's revival of continental power. Capital will initially flee to the US dollar, but as war drags on, it will seek new safe havens. Hong Kong has already emerged as a preferred destination for Middle Eastern money, and the war will accelerate the shift towards a global industrial chain resting on US demand, China as the hub, and the rest of the world in supporting roles, handing China pricing power and rule-setting authority. Cenk,
so they want the powers that America had in the old world order. Okay, so we're seeing the ambition of these nations seep through. Okay, and eventually they're gonna fight. They're gonna go all out, man. Okay. What's the brother asked? He said, "What's the utmost sea?" Well, the utmost sea is the Red Sea. Okay. Yep. The utmost sea is the Red Sea. Okay, which is going to be behind, all right, the American military, because they're going to be facing towards the east, all right, which is Iran across the Persian Gulf. Okay, but the utmost sea is the Red Sea. Okay, I think, matter of fact, brother, since you asked, it's a spirit, I still got the map pulled up. I've been having the map up here for days. Man, I got tabs all over, goddamn place. So yeah, just go to the map real quick, brother. So yeah, let me hold on. I think that's too close. Shit. Let's zoom out a little bit. So yeah, you look at this map. So Saudi Arabia is the land is barren and desolate in Saudi Arabia. Okay. And then you have the utmost sea, which is the Red Sea, which is gonna be behind them. Okay. And then you have the Persian Gulf, all right, to the east, which that's gonna be where they're gonna be facing. Because then you have Iran, okay, that's right here across the Persian Gulf. Okay, because they're gonna be, all right, in array or battle formation to go into Iran. Okay, so their utmost sea is the Red Sea, the land barren and desert, Saudi Arabia. Okay, in this region here, and then you have the Persian Gulf. All right, which separates Saudi Arabia from Iran. Okay, so let's go back. I got another video. Where we at? Is this it? Yeah, let's go here, because what we're seeing is this war is having an effect, okay, on other nations way sooner, okay, because these nations are certain nations are very dependent on their oil that comes through the Strait, that liquid natural gas, okay, and they're having to take measures now. They have to take drastic measures now. You see, America has the privilege to where they get over 90% of their oil, all right, from the Western Hemisphere. Okay. Now, America will have an immediate crisis if Canada ever stopped, okay, transporting oil to America. All right. But that's not going to happen. All right. Because even if Canada did try to make that move, the American military would go bullet Canada. All right. Canada don't stand a chance. Okay. So that oil is going to keep flowing from Canada. I'll be very surprised if that happens. Okay. Because America gets over, 60% of its oil from Canada, to subsidize the oil that America domestically makes. Okay, so America is not by itself energy sufficient, but it's close to it because of what Canada provides. Okay, so America is able to produce a lot of this oil domestically and subsidized through Canada, Mexico, Brazil. Okay, so they have their oil, that liquid gas, all right, LNG, that they produce domestically. But these other nations, they don't have that privilege. Okay, so we're starting to see immediate effects from these other nations. He's going to expound on it, play a little clip of this, about 2 minutes maybe. He's going to go into what these other nations, the measures that these other nations are already having to do. Okay, and these nations, and I say the Lord got these nations in the spirit. They're going to have to fight or die. You have to get involved. You have to do something, or you're going to get strangled out. You see? So let's play this.
Emergency oil that's going to be given out by the IEA. So basically, the world's rich nations have promised that they're going to give 400 million barrels of oil. It's a record. It's the record amount that they've ever taken out of their stockpiles, because all of them have these stockpiles. Like in the US, they've got all these salt caverns down in kind of Louisiana and places like that, filled with oil, strategic petroleum reserve. It is designed for moments like this. You release the oil out there into the market and you prevent the kind of global economic catastrophe that happened in the 1970s. The problem is that is only kind of, maybe, if you're thinking about the flow per day, maybe kind of 2, maybe 3 million barrels. So you're short of 20. You've got maybe 3 from that. Maybe you can get a few extra by running a few tankers out of the Straits. Maybe you can get some extra pipeline stuff going across Saudi through the various pipelines that they have. But in practice, you're short of at least 10 million barrels. And what that means, like you were describing it a moment ago, what that means is in certain countries, you're having to ration economic activity. So you've got a 4-day week in Sri Lanka right now. You've got, as you're saying, you've got people encouraged. There's a 4-day week in Sri Lanka. You've got people encouraged to work from home in places like, Thailand and Vietnam. You've got businesses shutting down. You've got rationing of LPG in India. That is disastrous in terms of economic activity. It's disastrous in terms of people's living standards. Like oil and fossil fuels are obviously sometimes maligned, but ultimately, this is a power.
Did you know there's a way to become your own bank with the right life insurance policy? It's called Indexed Universal Life Insurance. Like all
power source, which enables people to do stuff. It enables hospitals to run, it enables backup generators, everything from, hospitals and schools to data centers. That's diesel. So we need this stuff. It's part of the life support system of the planet. And yeah, in the very, very long run, we should,
he's saying Sri Lanka, all right, they have to reduce to a 4-day week, all right, to reserve energy. In India, petroleum is being rationed. Okay, people are being, back to working at home like the pandemic. Okay, in other countries, man. Okay, so the rest of the world doesn't have the cushion that America has, man. And that's why Americans are so delusional when it comes to crisis, because they're not immediately affected like these other countries, man. Okay, but you best believe these elites, they're going to sabotage this system, man, and cripple, all right, and make America have an energy crisis, man. Okay, the Lord going to use the elites to break this place down. Okay, so let's go from there. I got another one, because like we talked about, there's one thing of stopping, all right, ships from going through the Strait of Hormuz, but it's a whole another thing to destroy, all right, the infrastructure. So I want to get a guy, he worked in that field, and he's going to expound on that. Okay. Let's go here. So he's going to expound on a little bit about this, what it actually means by these refineries, okay, being, taken offline, okay, the long-term effect of it, okay. So let's play this.
Assassinated Khamenei. They pulled in the Hezbollah, Shia elements. So this. I was in Cameron. I was a supply chain director, and I was regional director for Halliburton over Eurasia. And then I was a director in supply chain for an Italian EPC company, engineering, procurement, construction, the technical construction. So I know what it takes to expand an oil refinery. I know what it takes, how much time it takes to get equipment to build up a wellhead and that infrastructure. And I was also director of supply chain on the project for building one of the 3 phases of the LNG refinery in Amur, which is one of the biggest in the world. So I understand the timelines that are involved in this and getting the equipment in this, because I've lived through this. And if the damage is as extensive as what we've seen on all sides, we're looking at years, not months, years before anything gets even near to what it was before, and possibly a year to 2 years before anything is being produced at all, because this is a massive amount of damage. This equipment, I mean, just as an example, when we were expanding the Moscow refinery to add another section to it to produce E95 petrol, the vessels, and there were about 140 vessels that are involved in this process. They varied from 1 meter to 78 meters in length. These are all constructed by hand, welded by hand. You're looking at about a half a year time frame to get that much out of one of the bigger producers in Russia. And then part of it was also coming in from Grand Mechanica, Italy, which was very low quality, and we had to redo a lot of that work. But then infrastructure for metal construction, so on, you're looking at a 1.5 year project just there. And that's not counting, and that was just for one section of an existing refinery. And that's not counting having to clean up any damaged infrastructure and anything of the sort. So if we're looking at massive damage, for example, on the LNG plant in Qatar, it may be 2-3 years before they're produced, depending on just from the flames and the look of it. It looked, and the images from the missile strikes, it looked pretty damn damaged. And then you got to figure, a lot of these metal suppliers, construction suppliers, especially if they, the Russians will more likely and the Chinese be replacing and putting Iran back on its legs. Who's going to be doing it for the rest of the Persian Gulf? Definitely, it's not going to be Europeans, because it's gas-heavy manufacturing for steel manufacturing. So maybe the Americans, but the Americans can't do it all by themselves. It's going to take years to put all this up. So we're looking at a massive cut in the amount of energy, even if the Straits of Hormuz are open tomorrow and everything's hunky-dory and everybody sits down and has a beer together. You're looking at a year and a half, maybe 1.5 years, maybe 2 years before production starts getting to where it was. So you're looking at a world that literally now has 20% less LNG, which for Europe is a disaster, and Russia's turning its back on Europe because Europe's been Europe's been what Europe's been, and Putin is now talking about I'm not going to wait to January 27 for you to cut off procurement. We're just going to leave now. Have fun. Europe is looking at losing about 47% of its LNG, of its gas in general, because most of it's now LNG. And if the Ukrainians are successful in ever blowing up any of the pumping stations for Turk Stream, Europe is going to be cut off by another 20%. It's dead in the water. European industry, anyways, will be dead in the water, because that's 80% of all energy, gas in this case. The usage is normally heavy industry, not for heating homes. That's a 20% use on average in industrial society. And then you're looking at just sections of the world that A, is not going to have enough oil. That's going to cause resource wars and conflicts on its own and instability. And B, Europe may face starvation this year. At least now, I'm not talking maybe whole nation starving, but actual social class starvation, like the lower classes. I see that in 6 months because Russia is 40% of the world's chemical fertilizer, which without that you wouldn't have the green revolution, and Qatar was 20% or almost 30%. So the EU just cut off 70%. By the way, the US last year bought $500 million worth of fertilizer from Russia, and that's expanding its procurement. So the US has no problem with this. it'll level sanctions and nullify them for whatever long term it needs it. So it's very flexible. The Europeans, on the other hand, are ideologues to an insane degree, the European leadership, and they'll rather watch their population suffer than back off on their psychotic ideologies, including the Green.
Yeah, so this is a different era. This is different. I say it's one thing to just shut down, the ability for these nations to travel and get tankers through the Strait of Hormuz. Okay, but it's another thing to destroy the infrastructure that makes oil production possible. Okay, and these things are being destroyed. They constantly escalate to now where they're going their power grids now. Okay, so it just escalating to a point of no return. Like they reach points you can't just go back. Like I say, even if they just stop, everybody just fell back. If they did a ceasefire today, you still have a lot of damage that's been done. Okay, that's going to cripple, the oil market, man, which cripples, the food market, which is unrest. And he's talking about resource wars, man. And these European nations, they're in a position where they got to do something. These certain Western Asian nations, they're going to have to do something. India, they're going to have to do something. Okay? And that's the Lord got his foot on these nations' neck, man. All right? To eventually, get all in with this war. Okay? And all fingers point to the small hats in America. Okay? You see? And it's going to make perfect sense, all right, to obliterate America in these small hats, man. Okay? Which that's all according to prophecy, man. Okay? These shall hate the whore, man, because America just been taking Europe down through there, man. America wild out and Europe suffer. But America be chilling. You see? So what do you think these EU nations going to do, man? They're suffering and Americans chilling. Okay? What reaction you think that's going to provoke, man? You see? So also this too, because we know Russia is bagging Iran, and the small has been poking the bear. They already activated the wild boar. So now they've been poking the bear. All right. And this is just a quick snippet from Colonel McGregor. And this is just his speculation dealing with Putin. Well, he's probably already told the small hats. But let's play this.
Colonel McGregor is now saying that he thinks that it's most likely that Putin has already threatened Israel. He's already threatened Israel, saying, hey, if you do anything, like, we will nuke you out of existence. Here's a big development. Turns out, Colonel McGregor, listen to what he has to say about what's happening with President Putin threatening Israel with a nuke. Is that possible? Let's listen. Let's listen to what he says.
There's a complete failure to understand that Gaza is the catalyst for the larger war that's now going to begin against Israel. Every Muslim country is going to come on board against Israel, along with Russia, along with China. I'd be surprised if Mr. Putin doesn't make it very clear to Mr. Netanyahu that if he contemplates using a nuclear weapon, he needs to understand something. If you do this, if you use a nuclear weapon against Iran or anyone in the Middle East, we will use a nuclear weapon against you. I'd be very surprised if he has not already said that. We don't understand what we've walked into because we're not informed. We still think this is 1991. Listen to the rhetoric. I'm ready for peace now. We've made our point. We hope the Iranians understand us and will make peace. Have you lost your mind? The war is now just beginning.
The war is just now just beginning, man. And the devil walked right into the trap. Okay, so we'll end it here. Okay, and that's Russia being a guard. He's just speculating, but we don't know what they're saying behind the scenes, but we know what prophecies say, man. And Russia is going to be a guard to those nations. Okay, and Russia is being a guard. All right, So you best believe Iran is under that Russian, what you call a nuclear umbrella. Okay. So all this attacks, these talks about nukes, well, this shit go both ways. Okay. This go both ways. All right. Hey, the Lord God to where it's tick for tat. When these devils make a move, we come right back at them now. Okay. So this is the brother Damawati, GMS in his likeness, Job 18:10. The snare is laid for him in the ground, and they trap for him in the way. Okay. And that snare that's in the ground, these nukes, man. Okay. A snare, because this devil has ensnared himself. Okay. By allowing this mass production of nuclear weapons in the earth, man. Okay, by setting the precedent of nuclear warfare, atomic warfare with Hiroshima and Nagasaki, man. He set that precedent, man, to where these nations rush to get that type of weaponry, man. Okay, and it's gonna be a trap until it's gonna be a snare, all right, for this devil, man. A trap that he walked into. It said, verse 11, terror shall make him afraid on every side and shall drive him to his feet, man. Okay, so Esau, he's on his feet and he's urgently trying to pull this thing off, man. So he went from a comfortable position of control, all right, to now trying to manage this chaos, man. Okay, he catching hell and he's having to accelerate his agenda and he's going to lose. Okay, so that's the point, Lord will. All right, you brothers. Okay, and you sisters edified once again. Want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shah Bahashim Makakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers, and peace and blessing and salutation to the hopefully. Shalom.